begins here.
One mind, one heart, one body. Saving the country. One person, one family, one entrepreneur, one town at a time. I have a new dream.
GBTV in 3, 2, 1.
I thought this country had already been mangled by this president so horribly, so radically, that it was damaged beyond all recognition. But with each passing day, this administration has me practically begging for the days when we were just debating national health care. A second term for this president and this administration, and without getting rid of not just him, but all of the radicals in this government, it will be absolutely devastating. And the way he's going, I wouldn't be surprised in the least if by the end of his second term, the national debate would be about letting our dear beloved leaders stay on for a third term. They are building a machine. The leftist radical Cass Sunstein has been plugging away at his dream job, conjuring up regulations to nudge people into doing what's best for them, or at least what he feels is best for them. Cass Sunstein, as I've told you before, is the most dangerous man in America, and he is at the epicenter now of a mammoth, patriarchal, bloated government that is trying to systematically limit your liberties, your choices, one regulation at a time. 10,215 new regulations and counting. With the birth of every new regulation comes the death of a choice that you once had. Your life is being boxed in, and choices are being manufactured for us. What does that mean? Well, let's just make it harder for you to choose. You're still free, right? You can choose whatever you want. Choices are out there, laid out right there by Cass Sunstein. No longer can you live your life as you see fit. You want carrots? Oh, you can have carrots. Oh, you want some lettuce? You can have that. Eat like a bunny. Or you can have Oreos. That's the one I like. That's the land of the free right there. I can have any of those. You want carrots? Oreos, lettuce. But that's not what's happening. They're not taking away your choices. They're just making this one harder to get. You could still, oh, you want Oreos? I don't know if we have any. Let me look if we have any. They're very expensive, you know. They used to be all on the shelves. They're nudging you. First nudge, then shove, then shoot. Happens the same way every time. In a minute, we share the news that I saw, and once again, it made me long for yesterday when America could at least be identified later by her dental records. Now, I'm afraid that's not going to even be possible soon. Tonight, a question for you. The land of the free, home of the brave. Are we? Are we? Because you can't be the land of the free unless you are also the home of the brave. The brave being led into battle and putting your life on the line, as brave as that is, I have news for you. The bravery that it is going to take to be you in the coming months and years is unlike anything that we've ever expected before in our homeland. Being the brave person, the one person that will stand up all alone in the office where everybody else disagrees with you. You have been taught to be silent. Are you brave enough to be silent no more? The brave person who's at the airport and the body scanner and everybody else is like, Dad, just don't. It's going to be a problem. The brave person who says, I'd rather not go on vacation. The brave person who says, I will not comply. This doesn't make any sense. When enough of us do that, it will be the land of the free again for generation after generation because of the brave. Tonight, that's your choice. Are you brave enough? Are your friends and neighbors, can you convince enough people that we need to be the land of the free again? But it will require each of us to be brave in different ways than you ever expected. That choice coming up in a second. First, let's find out the news with Amy Holmes.
Thanks a lot, Glenn. The Obama re-election campaign unleashes its attack dog. I'm Amy Holmes from theblaze.com. Vice President Joe Biden called out the three leading GOP presidential candidates by name today in his first major 2012 campaign speech, which he delivered at a labor union hall in Ohio. The vice president tried to label Mitt Romney, Rick Santorum, and Newt Gingrich as advocates for the rich while defending the Obama administration's auto bailout. But he centered his attacks on the Republican frontrunner. Take a listen.
They say the private markets would have stepped in to save the industry. Governor Romney says the market, Wall Street, quote, will help lift them out. Wrong.
Ohio, where Vice President Biden spoke today, is of course a swing state. Voters there have picked the winning presidential candidate in the last 12 elections. Meanwhile, lawmakers in Arizona are waging their own legislative response to Obamacare's controversial birth control mandate. The state Senate is considering a bill that would allow all employers to decide if they want their health insurance to cover workers' birth control. The only exception would be if a woman can prove she needs contraceptives for other medical reasons, like, for example, to treat acne or symptoms of menopause. Critics claim the legislation passed by Arizona's House last month would force women to share private medical information. Supporters, however, argue that the law would protect religious beliefs of business owners. One of the bill's sponsors, State Republican Representative Debbie Lesko, tells a local news station, quote, "We live in America, and government shouldn't force mom-and-pop employers to do something that's against their moral beliefs." Meanwhile, a leading Gingrich surrogate has raised the possibility of the 4 GOP candidates striking a deal to avoid a brokered convention. Could Newt Gingrich end up playing the role of kingmaker? We'll have that and the other headlines the mainstream media is missing tonight on Real News from the Blaze at 7 p.m. I'm Amy Holmes from theblaze.com.
Hello, America, and welcome to the Glenn Beck program and to GBTV. I want to thank you for helping us build this network. I tell you, I spent a lot of time today out. I was at the stadium for Restoring Courage. We're 134 days away. Whew, that's a big building. A lot of seats in that one. We sell that thing out. The only ones that have done that is U2. That's it. Kind of a short list. We'd sure like to have you there. We'll tell you more about it coming up in the next few days. Go to mercury1.org and see if you would have your family join us and spread the word. I tell you, I wore this jacket today because you can't buy this anymore. This jacket reminds me of my grandfather. Can't buy these. Actually, I actually had 1791 make this by an American. We had that made. We didn't send it to India. This is what I remember from the childhood. Future farmers of America. Who are the future farmers? You know the average age of a farmer now is 65 years old. Boy, add another 10 years, how are we going to eat? Who's going to grow food? Nobody's studying it anymore. It's all big farm. It's going to end up well, isn't it? I had the incredible misfortune of finding out what Labor Secretary Hilda Solis, who is from Los Angeles, has decided to dictate to the farmers and future farmers of America. Solis, by the way, is just your average ordinary American whose appointment was literally cheered by the Communist Party USA. In their publication, People's World, they welcomed the pro-worker as a great choice who would chart new territory for working Americans. But I digress. Fear not. New workers, new territory. No, there's a new sheriff in town, according to Hilda. Listen.
The Labor Department must ensure that American workers are paid what they deserve, are treated fairly, have safe and healthy workplaces, and will accomplish this through tough enforcement, transparency, cooperation, and balance. To those who have, for too long, abused workers, put them in harm's way, denied them fair pay, let me be clear. There is a new sheriff in town.
It all sounds great until you actually see what this sheriff is pulling out of her holster and shooting at your family. Farmers now are outraged after learning of the new regulations from her Labor Department that tell farmers what kids can and cannot do on the farm. This story has slipped under the radar because it's completely ignored by the mainstream media because they're all New York elitists. And we have Washington big city elitists. We have Obama from Chicago. We have Hilda Solis from Los Angeles trying to tell the farmers the best way to run their damn farms. Oh, really? Wouldn't you love to say to one of them, why don't you come on and plant a little garden? Let's see how you do. It all sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? I'll show you how bad it is coming up in a minute. But first, I want to show you some of the new rules that they've set up. For example, children under 16 years of age are now forbidden from completing agricultural work with animals and pesticide handling, timber operations, manure pits, and storage bins. God forbid they get their hands dirty. They also are banned from handling any power equipment, you know, like a tractor, even if they've taken a safety class. I was driving my grandfather's tractor when I was 10. They're banned from helping in any form the cultivation of harvesting and curing tobacco. Oh, not cigarettes. They're banned from working with animals in feedlots, grain silos, stockyards, or livestock auctions. Another restriction would prohibit kids under 18 from working in the storing, marketing, and transportation of farm product raw materials. Don't touch the eggs. No! Senator Moran gave an example of the ridiculousness of this regulation. Listen.
Regulations prohibiting a young person from working 6 feet off the ground mean that no child, no young person is going to be in a cab of a tractor or a combine. And in fact, your rules suggest that a young person could not even use a powered-driven screwdriver.
I have to tell you something. My sister ran a pea viner when she was, I think, 15 or 16 years old. Everybody I grew up with, everybody worked on a farm. 70 lawmakers wrote this letter to the Labor Department and said the new regulation, quote, challenges the conventional wisdom of what defines a family farm in the United States. Now, her response is, she's just trying to, I'm just trying to protect the children. This is just about child labor. Oh, evil child labor, coal dust. They just look like they're like little Disney dirty orphans. They got soot all over their face. Please don't make me work in the tractor one more day, Daddy, please. She just doesn't want to hurt the family farms. Right. Here she is talking about how much she loves the family farm. Watch how she loses eye contact when she says, you know, I don't want to hurt the family farm. Watch this.
We are concerned when there are fatalities, when we still see the second largest rate of fatalities occurring on farms. And while I don't have a problem with children working on their parents' or relatives' farms, that is a question that we're going to be seeking comment on. And I certainly personally agree that you know, those are things that should be allowable, quite frankly. But I do know that we have to protect and prevent any further injuries from young people that are working in settings that are not protected. We've had serious fatalities, a record of more than, say, 21.3% per 100,000. And I just received a report that was issued yesterday by the Journal of Pediatrics that also states very clearly that we have seen an increase in rise in injury and costs to businesses because of fatalities and young people in agriculture. Not all of them have been with direct work on farms, but many of them in the agricultural industry. So I think there is a compelling reason to look at this rule. We haven't upgraded the rule for 40 years. And the way business is done on farms has changed a bit. We just want to make sure that we get it right, that we get the most abundant comments from people that are out in the field that are running these operations, and to do our best to try to inform farmers and business owners that we want to work with them.
This hasn't been updated.
As much technical assistance and help as we can.
It hasn't been updated in 40 years, and things are getting worse. Really? It hasn't been touched in 40 years. Farms are more dangerous today than they were 40 years ago when Jeffro was out in the back. People falling into haymaking machines? What are you talking about? Oh, it's so much more dangerous. There's a lot to unpack here. Let me go. First of all, I hate to be all upset here because she was very thoughtful. She's imposing the regulations on America and then gracing us with their presence so we can beg for mercy and beg them, which tasks and chores can I give my children? Which can, dear government, which tasks and how can I raise my children? God bless America, land of the free, or something like that. 2, the law does affect the family farm because of how difficult farms are to pass on from one generation to the next. Most are only partially owned, other parts owned by aunts and uncles. Therefore, most are not exempt. And by the way, Everybody I know worked on a farm. It wasn't either, it was their farm, their grandparents' farm, their aunt and uncle's farm, or a friend's farm. So it kind of didn't work that way. Maybe it does in Los Angeles, but not in the rest of the country. The other thing Solis says gives justification for the new farm rules. These are great, by the way. Farm-related injuries are relatively high, indicating that it is a dangerous, dangerous field. Okay. Let's look into that, because kids could be blowing themselves up with dynamite, because that's, I think, the way you pick corn. Let's look at all the kids dying on the farm, film 11 epidemic that Solis is warning us of. 113. 113 people under the age of 20 die every year. Oh. How big is that? 0.00008% of the time there's a farm accident. 5,000 out of about 25 million teens die in a car crash every year. 5,000. That's 0.002% of the time. And this time, unlike the deficit, the small number is bigger. Teen car accidents are about 3 times more prevalent than youth farming accidents. 3 times! So Hilda, youth farming does not have relatively high injuries. In fact, what, compared to sleeping? A tractor is far safer than driving on the road. So thanks for your help to curb all of the farming child labor scandals that are out there in America. But here's the truth, America. This isn't about child labor. These kids who don't get participation trophies because they're working on the farm learn responsibility and the value of hard work. It's common sense. But the current administration doesn't think so. No. I wonder, should we let them know about the Bernstein Bears? Have you seen this? Look at this anti-child propaganda. Child labor! They're just spilling out into your living room. Your kids are watching brother and sister Bear get a summer job at Farmer Ben's house. What are they going to do? They wanted to quit, and okay, they learned an important lesson about working and stuff, but oh, humanity! Can we ban these crazy bears, and why do people make them wear pants? Stop listening to these crazy people. These elites told us our national debt. It's not a bad thing. Don't worry about it. Energy independence. It's going to come from electing Democrats who think using solar panels will keep gas prices low. That government-run health care is going to save us money. Why should we listen to them on anything? Especially how to run farms. None of them have even been on a farm. They despise farms. And they get everything else wrong. This isn't about safety. It's not about the children. It's about control. The communist who cheered her appointment probably cheered for this farm bill, I'm guessing. She wants the control out of the farmers' hands and into Washington's. This reminds me of my grandfather. I learned hard work from my grandfather, who worked at Boeing and ran a farm. My grandfather was a union steward at Boeing. I grew up in a union household. My father was a baker. He wasn't union. I worked at my grandfather's farm. I worked at my father's bakery. My cousins worked at my uncle's bakery. My cousin, it's a random thing, my cousin had his arm ripped off in the bread mixer. He was, I don't even know, 15, 10. He was working at my uncle's bakery. He was scraping down the bread dough, but he was dumb. He left the machine on, and it ripped his arm off. Boy, we never forgot it. When he came to visit, we never forgot. I learned my lesson. I learned the value of hard work. I learned that some work is dangerous, but I also learned that sacrifice to provide for your family is a good thing. Would I have learned that sitting on the couch at home watching the stupid Bernstein Bears that they'll probably ban too? I also picked berries, and I fed the chickens on my grandfather's farm and my aunt and uncle's. I helped my grandfather build chicken sheds, not very well, because I'm horrible. Mainly, he had me pull out the old rusty nails out of the scrap wood. You know what? Oh, I ripped my hand open at about the age of 10. I got over it. Cowboy up, dude. My dad worked so hard, he was always tired. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. He would make the donuts first thing, and he actually fell asleep at the donut fryer. If you've never made donuts before, my father used to make them with 2 sticks, and he'd stand over the donut fryer, and he'd flip the donuts. And my father fell asleep, and one of his hands went into the donut fryer. It's a dangerous job. He ended up in the hospital. You know what he didn't do? He didn't sue the donut fryer for not having some safety shield. We didn't sue Grandpa or the rusty nail factory because I got a boo-boo on my hand. And none of us ever ran to the government. Life isn't easy, but it is so much easier when you work hard. Why is the government stopping you from having your kids work on your neighbor's farm, your family farm? Why can't they open up a lemonade stand without the government shutting them down? Because they will learn to be a hard-working free man and not a slave. Your children, if they are lucky, will be hardworking, good neighbors. They will fear God. They will be dead tired at the end of every single day. And every single morning they'll get up dead tired again. But they'll do it all over again because it's worth it. Sometimes that hard work pays off. You may not always get what you work for, but you must always work for what you get. Always. Or you become a slave. I'm so tired of these elites telling us what to do. I'm so tired of it. I went to college when I was 30. I am the first in my family to go to college. And I didn't complete college. My children are going to be the first to complete it. I paid for college myself. I am lucky enough to be able to afford their college. I was the freak. I was the old guy, 30-year-old guy. What's this guy doing? Underclassman. What is going on here? The professor actually asked me, Mr. Beck, why are you here? Because I want some answers. I could only afford one class, and the rest of my education I did myself. I'm a self-taught man, and I am proud of it. Because I saw hard work from my father, because I saw passion in what he did. I saw it from my grandfather. Because I saw people work themselves to death, I happen to have good work ethic. And I hope my kids learn it from me. And I hope that they are as lucky as I am to attract others that also have hard work ethic, that they share the same values. And then you know what happens? If the government is really unlucky, you end up in the Wall Street Journal. Maybe on the cover of the business page, right there on the front. This story is less about me and more about you. Glenn Beck rallies troops for revolution against TV. You damn right. It's time for a revolution against all of the elites. If you are lucky, you're surrounded by people like I am with you. And you and your children can end up here. I end up there because of the people I work with. I end up there because you understand. You want to be a part of it. Look, we're a lot alike. We both recognize that one man can change the world. But he needs others around him. And it is our shared values that allow us to work together. But our values are being destroyed. Our culture is being destroyed. We're working on restoring love because it's what connects us to one another. It's what you learn in those farming communities. You take care of each other. But I need to remind you that the only time that something really counts is when it is really hard to do. And we are going to get more and more angry, and others are going to become more and more vicious. We must not. We're getting ready here in a few weeks to start to move into the American Dream Labs, and I've been looking for images that tell the story of where we're going. Mother Teresa. This one is of Gandhi, spinning yarn. Boy, you know, he starved himself to death, or almost to death, not against the government, but against his own followers that were engaging in violence. But this is the one, to me, that expresses love the most. And I know that doesn't make sense. Most people would say this expresses hate. But this is the world we're entering in again. But this time, these faces will be you. These are the faces of love. This is big government. Can you imagine? I mean, an out-of-control government with tanks and bayonets. For what? For these guys? They're only carrying a sign that says one thing: I am a man. I am a man. What does that mean? It means, government, get the hell out of the way. Government is not the answer. Government is the problem. When they try to pick and choose winners, be it GM or a race or a philosophy, I am a man, and I demand to be treated as an individual, and I demand to be treated equally. I demand to have a fair shot. I demand to be treated and judged by the content of my character. I hate to sound like Howard Beale in Network today, but I am as mad as hell, and I am not going to take it anymore. I am a man, and I demand to be treated as a man. Don't take it. Don't sit down. Let us not lose this battle because we sat down. You want to win this battle? Get on your knees and then stand up with a full armor of God and demand to be treated as an individual. These rights we find self-evident. What does that mean? It means nobody has to teach them to us. We know it. They're self-evident. That I am born and I am endowed by my Creator with certain unalienable rights. What does that mean? That I'm born and I'm given something by God that no man can take away. Do you prefer the serenity of servitude? You have certain unalienable rights. Life. You cannot kill me. You cannot take my life away without due process, equal justice. We started going down the wrong track when the government started not to defend the lives of the unborn. I believe in defending the lives of the unborn. Now we're forced into a debate today of whether babies who have already been born should be allowed to live. That's murder. Life. Liberty. You cannot be arrested. You cannot arrest me without a charge. You cannot hold me indefinitely. I get to face my accuser. I get a speedy and fair trial. You can't take my stuff. You can't force me to unlock my encrypted information. You can't take my ideas. You can't take my property without warrant. And they're doing it. They're snooping on you. They're invading your privacy. They got Google in bed with them. The president just signed a law that people can be scooped up and held indefinitely without charge or trial. And the DOJ came out last week and is unsure if the president can or cannot assassinate American citizens. These rights are self-evident, but they have to check with an attorney. Self-evident rights requires you to have an ounce of common sense and actually care. The last one that is self-evident is the pursuit of happiness. I have a right as a man to be who I want to be. If I want to eat Hostess Ho-Hos all day long and be the fattest, fatty person alive, then it's my choice. And I'll release you of your responsibility. You have no responsibility to cut a big hole in the side of my house and hoist me out on a fire truck and bring me to the hospital so I can go on a diet. I made the bad choice. Leave me alone. I choose. You have no responsibility. If I want to be lazy and live under a bridge, I can do that. If I want to work hard without taking the 2 mandatory 30-minute breaks, I can do that. If I want to teach my kids the value of honest and hard days' work, I can do that. You have no right to tell me otherwise. And when I take my money that I have earned with my sweat and my ideas and my hands, and I spend it the way I want to spend it, I don't care if I blow it all on casinos or I buy something, in your opinion, that's smart. It's mine. I have a choice. I chose to buy that. And it's my property. You can't take it away. You can't take away my land. So you can put up a casino with slot machines, no matter how valuable you think that is to the collective. The collective's rights are not more valuable than my individual rights or your individual rights. It is your life. I am a man. And I demand to be treated as a man. I make my own choices. And I live with the consequences of those choices. I do not answer to you, federal government. That's not how it works. Maybe you need a refresher. You, the government official, you work for me, and you work for him, and him, and him, and him, and him. That's who you work for. You answer to the people. We do not answer to you. So when you go behind the backs of the American people and you conjure up some regulation designed to do the things that are not in our best interest, you are wrong. And I am required by the Declaration of Independence to tell you so. When a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. I hope to God we're not there yet. But you could make a case. And I'm so sorry if the media finds that dangerous speech. Is that dangerous now, to quote the founding documents? Of course it can't be, because we have the Occupy Wall Street wannabes saying on national television that they are actively trying to overthrow the U.S. government, and that doesn't seem to be a problem for you kings. I will not comply. My kid is going to drive the damn tractor. You don't like it? Throw me in jail. It will be hard. I won't like it. I will quite honestly be frightened. But I will not comply. You want me to pay for something that violates what I firmly believe? I will not comply. You want me to give up my Second Amendment rights or let them severely be restricted? I will not comply. You want me to use the word target because somehow or another in this upside-down insane world it's politically incorrect? I will not comply. You want me to bow down to the global warming gods and not drive an SUV? I'm going to buy the biggest damn truck you've ever seen. You want me to stop eating donuts and Doritos, First Lady? I most definitely will not comply. They are telling us now not to let our kids work on farms when youth unemployment in America is nearly 20%. Why? Why are they doing that? African American youth unemployment is 45%. Why would I want more kids not working? Yet, the government is swooping in to save the day with regulations and take even more jobs and more valuable learning experiences off the table. Why? Here's a message to the elites. I know what you're doing. Anybody who knows history, anybody who's even read a damn newspaper from Venezuela knows what you're doing. And here's another clue. You overeducated dopes. Food does not come from the grocery store. It comes from farmers. Now, who is this going to hurt? You think that's going to hurt the small farmer or the big farmer? Unrelated note, see who's buying up all the farmland globally. In China, they're now starting to buy up all the farmland in Australia. Hedge funds in America. Soros is buying up land all over the world. Is Mom and Pa, the farmers down the street, are they doing it? No. No, they're not. Because it's hard to be a farmer. And the rich get richer. They want to put the little guys out of business. It will destroy them. It will destroy the rest of the work ethic. It will destroy the family farm. And at the same time they're doing this in Philadelphia and here in Texas, in Houston, Texans, stand up. They are telling you that you now can't give someone else food who is hungry if you've made the sandwich and you're giving it to them. You got to go through them first. I will not comply. I will not stop serving anyone soup if they're hungry. I will go to jail. I have learned this lesson before. I am a man. Why? Because I hold these truths to be self-evident. And we are headed towards Hugo Chavez, where the government controls everything, including the farms. And that ends the same way every time. Massive starvation every time. And if you don't believe me, the facts are clear. The Soviet Union, Lenin took over the farms and 6 to 7 million people starved to death. In China, Mao's Great Leap Forward ended up in a big pile of dead bodies. 20 to 40 million people starved to death thanks to communist dictators, violence, and collectivist farming policies. In Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe stole the nation's farms as reparations and gave them to black people. The problem is he didn't give them to farmers, and they're still suffering. 12,000 children starve to death every year in Zimbabwe. Chavez in Venezuela, he's confiscating farmland, and food has been scarce. Oftentimes, grocery store shelves are bare. When government they take the people's farm, the people starve. It's a mathematics certainty, and I will not comply. I want you to practice saying those words until you really know what they mean. Make your decisions now so you can predict as much as you can how you will react. I will not comply. Items that are considered to be the best in anything is called the gold standard. It's called that for a reason. It's been this way since biblical times. You have to know a little something of history to know how things always end. In the top of next hour, we're going to go with 3 experts who can tell you a little bit about what's happening, and you decide whether you think the Fed knows what they're doing, whether these elites in Congress and in Washington and the Fed and the Treasury know what they're doing, or if maybe you should spread your risk out a little bit. I think the dollar is going to be toast one of these days. I don't know when, but it's going to be. When I said 4 years ago they would downgrade us, S&P, that's unheard of, never happened. They did. When I said they would monetize the debt, it's crazy, it's never happened. We'll never do that. They did. Dollar's not going to be worth anything. Would you please look into Goldline? I want you to call Goldline now. It's 757-GOLD, 1-800-757-GOLD, or goldline.com.
You have insurance for your most valuable things, but what about your most basic need, food? Economic turmoil and natural disasters can put your food supply at risk. Well, there's a smart, convenient solution: food insurance. Food insurance sells high-quality freeze-dried meals with a 25-year life. Compact, affordable, and delicious. And easy. Just add water for a complete meal. Food insurance can help you cover your risk for 2 weeks or up to several months. So be prepared. Give yourself peace of mind. Order food insurance today.
The TRS Files, True Tax Resolution Stories.
Hi, my name is Matt C. I am not an actor. I'm a client of TRS. I owed the IRS $40,000 in back taxes, but thanks to TRS, I paid only $1,500. I was always a freelance worker and never saving enough money to pay the taxes at the end of the year. When the letter from the IRS came, I saw the return address on the envelope and my heart sunk, and I reluctantly opened it, and it said that they were going to seize about anything that I owned, and I owed $40,000 in back taxes. I definitely just knew it was time to go see TRS.
If you owe the IRS over $20,000 or more in back taxes, have unfiled returns, or are under audit, call Tax Resolution Services now, 888-7804-TAX. That's 888-7804-TAX. Or visit taxresolution.com/GBTV.
Aren't you Jimmy Easton?
What's it to you?
Just wondering what a washed-out has-been ball player doing in our bar.
You either coach the team or go to jail.
Listen, Jimmy, God works in ways we don't always understand.
I've prayed and prayed that God would bring something better into my life. And now he brought you home, Jimmy.
Can you give me a few pointers?
Thought you'd never ask.
Back down! I won't back down!
The truth, the headlines, the plays.
The Catholic priest at the center of the same-sex communion controversy finally breaks his silence. I'm Amy Holmes from theblaze.com. Father Marcel Guarnizo is speaking publicly for the first time about his refusal to give communion to a lesbian during her mother's funeral. It's the latest in a story we're following closely here at The Blaze. In a statement, the priest claims he never met Barbara Johnson or her family until the funeral service last month at the St. John Newman Catholic Church in Maryland. Father Guarnizo explains that just before Mass began, the Washington, D.C. art studio owner introduced her female companion as her lover. When Johnson later approached the priest to receive the sacramental bread and wine, Guarnizo writes that he simply followed the teachings of the church. Quote, "I did the only thing a faithful Catholic priest could do in such an awkward situation, quietly with no intention to hurt or embarrass." In that same statement, Guarnizo vigorously denies accusations that he intimidated parish staff after the incident. Those accusations led to his administrative leave. Meanwhile, in Iran, President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is on the outs with the country's hardliners. Could Ahmadinejad become an unlikely ally of the West? We'll have that and the other headlines the mainstream media is missing tonight on Real News from the Blaze at 7 o'clock. I'm Amy Holmes from theblaze.com.
Show me the B. How many times have you seen a suicide bomber steal a car, drive it onto the tarmac, as the Secretary of Defense for the United States of America, his plane is coming down the runway? How many times is that? Yeah, me too. Never. I've never seen it. Here's another question. How does the world's preeminent superpower allow some bozo suicide bomber to steal a car, come down the tarmac, and then blow it up? I remember a time, when was it? I don't know, about 3 years ago, when nobody would have even tried that, let alone succeeded. That's how little these people think of America as a superpower or our military right now. We've got a president who's got to go take a little nappy nap and drink his milk before he's got a noodle on the oh so tough should I kill bin Laden or not decision. Are you kidding me? Mr. President, should we shoot him in the head? Yeah, done. We're fighting this war like we're campfire girls, and my apologies to campfire girls. This administration is an embarrassment to campfire girls, even bluebirds. Sorry. The concept of war dare I explain it to the administration because it's difficult for them to figure out, is if you're going to do it, and you're going to put our troops in harm's way, then you kill the opponent much faster than they can kill you. And you do it in a big, vicious, violent, breathtaking way that scares the bat crap out of anybody thinking to take us on. But we don't do that. We just give them a limp jab, and then we hug them, and we kiss them, and we say, let me understand what happened to you as a child. I don't really give a crap. Shoot them in the head and come back home. And then we have Leon Panetta in a disgraceful display, humiliating our troops yesterday in Afghanistan. The Marines and other troops who were waiting in a tent for the Secretary of Defense to speak were abruptly asked by their commander to get up, place their weapons, M16, M4 automatic rifles, and 9mm pistols outside the tent, and then return unarmed. I don't think I've ever seen this happen before in my lifetime. Now, the logical question is, why? Here's the quote. Well, they wanted to have the Marines look just like their Afghan partners. Are you kidding me? I don't know if you know this, but they're not Afghan soldiers. They're American soldiers. I want them to look like American soldiers. What do you say? I don't know if you know this, Leon, but it's a war zone over there, and there's Afghans that are a little pissed at us, and our guys are being targeted. You want to take their weapons away? The only saving grace in all of this is I know our guys. They can do a lot more damage with their bare hands. By the way, in another weird coincidence, Leon Panetta just happens to have a bunch of communist ties. I know. What are the odds? Every one of my friends has communist or radical revolutionary ties. Oh, no, wait, no, no, none of mine do. None. No ties to radical communist in my life. How about you? This president is just the most unlucky guy. He's so unlucky. All of them tied to radicals and revolutionaries. Whoa. One of Panetta's buddies is Hugh DeLacy. He is a prominent figure in the Communist Party USA. And Leon has this particular love affair with a revolutionary Marxist and the movements in Latin America, such as that glorious revolution that Chavez and other in his administration have just fawned over. That's... What message did we send to our military? Leon, when you disarm our military in a war zone, what is that? It's a soft admission that, uh-oh, one of these baby killers might hurt me. They might just start shooting everybody in the tent. Is that what it is? Are you afraid of our own military, Leon? Do you not trust them? Maybe there were tea parties in there. Were there tea partiers in there? Because they're dangerous, I hear. The damage this administration is doing to our military is unbelievable. America is almost unrecognizable. No wonder Obama had a problem, taking Chavez propaganda books. He's just like, oh, no, gosh, he didn't have trouble taking it. He just took it there, and then he stood and he posed. Oh, look at me, I'm going to pose with it. I think he idolizes the guy, because we're becoming them. Here's the saving grace, and I challenge the press to print this. I say, to save our military, to those fighting for something noble, I think they've gone over there and they've done an amazing job. And I don't even know what it's about anymore. Today, Karzai said he wants to use military out by 2013. Oh, do you? Really? Oh, we can do that. If I'm president, I make it happen today. Pull the troops out. Go ahead. Come on, Mr. President. Bring it on. Pull the troops out. Our troops are being set up by our own government and this administration. We now have beheadings and mobs, and our military is being blamed by our own president. I know it's not right to leave a job unfinished, but our cowardly administration will not end this the right way. It will end like Vietnam. Pull our troops out before you get them all killed. How's that for our anti-war president? Hey, Mr. Anti-War President, I guess I'm more anti-war than you. Huh? How's that working out? Can't hear you, Mr. President. Why won't you pull them out? Why? Why? Because your agenda is to destroy us from within, and I'm just going to start saying it. Well, let me say this. I will not comply. Mr. President, I bet you could ask 1,000 corpsemen, and they would agree. Pray for for our troops, America. We have radicals in this administration and throughout our government. I have one word: corpsemen. Mr. President, corpsemen. It's corpsmen. Corpsemen are dead bodies. These are soldiers. These are people that would say, I am a man and I demand to be treated as one. They are heroes. Our president apologizes for the Koran burning when they didn't do anything wrong. Oh, didn't you hear that story? Oh no, they came out now and said, oh no, they were right to do it. But our president apologized. Our soldiers are dying. I don't think they even care. I really don't. I don't know if anybody in this administration even cares. Pull them out, Mr. President. Please pull them out. Bring them home. They are safer here than under your care. Because you and our troops are fighting a different war. I don't even know. Who are you fighting over there? Who are you fighting? You can't even say radical Islam. Who are you fighting? Casper the Friendly Ghost? Who is it? Bring them home. They've done more than their fair share. Ready? Tonight. Coverage you won't get anywhere else. Don't miss it.
The truth lives here.
That was kind of a spooky commercial, wasn't it? All right, I want to tell you about taxresolution.com. Tax resolution services are the people that can help you with the IRS. You don't want to sit down with somebody and have somebody negotiate with the IRS that is a former IRS agent. Come on, they've been doing it. They would have retired from the IRS. So that means they spent their whole time hanging out at the water cooler with other white suits and jackets who are all talking about these deadbeats who don't pay their taxes. I don't want that guy representing me. I want somebody who's always been on my side of the table, who knows who the right guy is, who knows that I'm not a deadbeat. I want you to call 888-780-4TAX if you have problems with your taxes, if you're $20,000 or more behind in taxes. Please, these guys can get you, I think, 75 or 80% off of the original amount owed. If you qualify, they can keep the doors of your business open. I'm hoping to start some things on small business. I'm telling you, pray for more time. Pray for more time. We can make it. We can make it. I know the way out. Pray for more time. But if we can just get some small businesses to hold on and grow and help each other, we'll make it and we'll grow these jobs. Don't get discouraged. I want you to call 888-780-4TAX, 888-780-4TAX, or log on now to taxresolution.com.
America is in crisis, crippling unemployment, mounting debt, out of control spending, a nation on the brink. Isn't it time we take America back? FreedomWorks has a solid plan, built from the grassroots up to defeat the Obama agenda and return America to freedom and prosperity. Go to freedomworksforus.com today to receive a free copy of our blueprint to take America back in 2012 and watch an urgent video message from Glenn Beck. freedomworksforus.com, because freedom works.
Let's say you need to take care of legal matters. Wouldn't it be nice if there was an easier, less expensive option than using a traditional lawyer? Well, LegalZoom came up with a better way. We took the best of the old and combined it with modern technology. Together you get quality services on your terms with total customer support. LegalZoom documents are accepted in all 50 states and they're backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So go to LegalZoom.com today and see for yourself. It's law. It just makes sense.
And for more savings, enter GBTV in the referral box at checkout. That's LegalZoom.com.
It's now possible to have emergency backup electricity when you lose your power. Introducing solar generators from Solutions from Science. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power when you need it most. Unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces electricity from the sun. It's like running an electric power plant in your own home. Ice storms, brownouts, blackouts, you'll never have to suffer through painful power outages again. Visit mysolarbackup.com today for more information. That's mysolarbackup.com, mysolarbackup.com.
Bringing a firearm into your home is one of the most important decisions you can make. If you are considering gun ownership, CheaperThanDirt.com is here to help you make a responsible and informed choice. We understand it is a personal decision how you choose to protect your family. We offer thousands of choices of firearms, ammunition, and accessories to suit your individual needs. Be responsible, be proactive, and exercise your Second Amendment right. Find us online at CheaperThanDirt.com. That's CheaperThanDirt.com.
Yeah. I'm just deciding whether I was going to show you something. I'll save it for another show. This is the original declaration of the establishment of the State of Israel, Ben Gurion, first printing. Because there's some disturbing stuff going on that I need to tell you about today, and it revolves around Israel and all the stuff that is happening. You know, the Coney 2012 thing, all the rage now with the kids these days. I showed you the video earlier in the week. I showed you this viral video. Got 79 million hits. You probably never heard of this guy before. Joseph Coney. All of a sudden, in a week, everybody knows. He's a brutal warlord and leader of the Lord's Resistance Army in Uganda. Last year, President Obama signed off on sending 100 of our soldiers and military equipment to the East African country to help catch him. But this guy hasn't even been seen since 2006. They say he may have been dead since 2006. Nothing is happening anymore. So naturally, because of this viral video, 2 congressmen are pushing for the U.S. to take action on even a larger role in Uganda. I'm telling you, George Soros is behind this. Their solution is to send more troops to act as regional forces who would protect the citizens and pursue LRA commanders. What the hell? They haven't even been seen in 6 years. We're sending, forget about our tax dollars. We're sending over our boys, our men, for what? I don't even know why we're in Pakistan or Afghanistan anymore. I've been tired since George Bush was in office of the government acting like the world's policeman, sending our military. I'm tired of it. Whenever there's a problem, we swoop in to help. I used to think that I just thought I've changed my mind on a lot of things. We secretly and then not so secretly helped the Libyan rebels who are Al-Qaeda terrorists. They're Islamic extremists. But we won't stand up for the Israeli people. We won't even stand up for the Muslims in Iran. They haven't been our ally since 1979. Israel's been our ally since 1948. Our Jewish brothers and sisters are heading for big trouble. Does this even matter anymore? Does this even matter anymore? Forget about that. Forget about the politics of all of it. Jews have been chased off of every continent 109 times. The last time the Germans pushed them, tried to eradicate all of them. I've read recently a lot about the Germans pushing the Jews out in Amsterdam. The Germans had a peace talk with Amsterdam. A week later, the Germans rolled in and lights out. And they do what happens every time. They went after the Jews. They destroyed their businesses. They were banned from public places. They were called dogs. People, not everybody, as you can see, Christians only, Jews not allowed. People some risk their lives to save the Jewish people, and we don't do enough to learn the lessons from those people. There's a boat. It's an artifact from the Holocaust. It now is on display at the Holocaust Museum here in Texas, in Houston. In 1943, the Danish resistance got a tip that the Germans were coming to round up all the Jews. And that's when Christians in Denmark risked their lives to help more than 7,200 Jews flee from Nazi Germany on fishing boats, including this one. The museum is trying to preserve the boat. A company hired as a contractor on the project took out an ad on the Blaze, and they were asking people, could you help rescue this boat for the museum's restoration project? You don't have to if you don't want to. Will you help preserve this so we can teach our children what bravery is really like? Well, one of the executives at the contractor's office received a voicemail in response to the fundraiser. I want to play part of this for you. I want you to listen to this. I warn you, it is extraordinarily disturbing. I don't think your kids need to hear this, but this is now happening in America. Listen.
I was calling about this boat thing that you're doing. This, I don't even know what it's called. This boat, I guess, that hauled away some of the vermin from Europe and allowed them to escape their fate brought on by their own actions. Here's my suggestion. Not only would I not give you a fucking dime for it, but my best suggestion is that you burn that piece of shit. And the reason being is because we want them to use it again to get away next time. See, because they built up another great big bill the same way they did last time, by with another person's country. Only this time it's our country instead of Germany. So instead of a Balfour Declaration, the Versailles Treaty that cost them all that land, and the boycott starving the Germans to bones, the Americans get the exact same treatment this time around. 3,000 of our people blown up in New York City on top of the USS Liberty, on top of the Federal Reserve Bank, and 100 years of strangulation by these Zionist Jew rat fucking vermin. And you want to show me this wooden piece of shit? Take the wooden piece of shit and shove it up your fucking ass, you tight flicking dogs. Burn that piece of shit because we don't want them getting away ever again. You fucking understand me? Yourselves.
Aren't you Jimmy Easton?
What's to you?
Just wondering.